Hello, American patriots. This is an urgent message to all American patriots across this country. Civil War 2.0, if you want to call it that, is underway, whether you want to accept it or not. All across the nation right now, as I speak, things are about to go to hell in a handbasket. Massive amounts of people, Democrats, liberals, Black Lives Matter, Black Panther Party, and so forth, are descending upon cities all across America to destroy them, all based on a false narrative that white people are oppressing the black man and police are the enemy of the people, and police are the biggest problem for black people being killed in America. All of which is complete and utter nonsense. I ask you to please share this video across all of your social media platforms. It's not being monetized. Nothing I do anymore is monetized by YouTube. So it's nothing coming into my pocket if you share it. But I need this message out there. I need people to realize what the hell is going on in America right now. I can't share anything on Twitter because they banned me for life because I'm an outspoken conservative Republican. So if you have a Twitter account, share the shit out of this on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else you possibly can. First, before I get into what has just happened, let me explain this much to you. Everything that took place with the death of George Floyd is a complete and utter travesty. It should have never happened. The officer that put his knee to George Floyd's neck and the officers that stood around and did nothing have been charged. They will have their day in court, as it should be. As far as I am concerned, and most people like myself that are prior law enforcement officers looking at that situation, we all feel the same. What that officer did was murder. He murdered George Floyd. And others who knew better did nothing. Now, taking that aside for a moment, let's talk about how this whole Black Lives Matter came to be. The hands up, don't shoot. It's all based on a false narrative. Now, for saying this, once again, I will be called a racist and a skinhead and a member of the KKK and all the hateful shit that the left and the Democrats throw at people like me that tell the truth and put facts out there. That's fine, I'll take it. The hands up, don't shoot goes to Ferguson, Missouri. Michael Brown case. What we knew in the first 24 hours is that a white police officer shot and killed a young black innocent youth who had his hands up and said, "Please don't shoot me," and begged for his life, and then turned around and put his back to the officer, and the officer opened fire and shot him dead in the streets of Ferguson, Missouri. We got that narrative from the first few people that CNN stuck their camera in front of their face to give them their moment of fame. And they lied their damn ass off. But it didn't matter. This took off like a wildfire all across America. That a white police officer gunned down this poor innocent black guy. So investigations were started. Not just at the local level, at the state level. Not just at the state level, at the federal government level. Barack Obama, black man, sent representatives to Michael Brown's funeral. The Department of Justice was run by Eric Holder, a black man. They got involved, got the FBI involved. An entire investigation was looked into this crime from all angles. Hundreds of people were interviewed that were witnesses. Video footage from homes in the area and businesses were reviewed. And when it was all said and done, the facts were this. Michael Brown was high on drugs. Michael Brown went into a convenience store and stole a bunch of stuff. And then when the store owner tried to stop him, Michael Brown assaulted him. The police were called. The first police officer on the scene was a white guy. And yes, Michael Brown was walking down the street. The police officer told him to stop because he fit the description of what just took place at the convenience store. As the police officer tried to get out of his car, Michael Brown reached into the car and started punching the officer in the face. As the door came open, Michael Brown started fighting to try and get the police officer's gun off of him. In a last-ditch effort to save his life, because this was a very short and small police officer compared to a huge Michael Brown, the officer had no other choice but to use his gun to save his own life and kill Michael Brown. That was witnessed by hundreds of people. Lots of video. Yet, it didn't matter. The truth didn't matter. Instead, Black Lives Matter was formed based on a false narrative that spread all over America, that racist police officers wake up every day and the only thought they have is to go out and shoot and kill innocent black youth. That is complete and utter bullshit. There are only a few deaths every year involving police and a black person. There are double the amount of white people killed by police. There are double the amount of police officers killed by black people. This is completely and utterly gotten out of sync in a direction that is harmful and dangerous. It's like they want another civil war. Black Lives Matter, the new Black Panther Party, now Antifa involved, which includes a lot of liberal white nut jobs, all out to destroy white people and the police force across this country. From the Michael Brown case came the NFL players taking a knee. Started with Colin Kaepernick. And in his original statements about taking a knee, it was because of police brutality against the African American communities and how the justice system was rigged against black people and how the white man was holding down the black man. And then it spread. And I did plenty of videos on that stupid shit. Just yesterday, New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees said that in an interview he would never kneel ever kneel during the national anthem or when our flag is on display. He wouldn't do it because it's disrespectful to our military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, and it's disrespectful to his own grandfather who served in World War II. Because he said that, the black NFL players, to include some of his own teammates, challenged him, called him out, called him a racist, called him a bigot. And he caved, along with his wife. They gave up. They surrendered. They rolled over on their back and got screwed. And now they've apologized for being so insensitive to the African American community, and how sorry we are that we didn't understand your plight. Absolutely sickening. Now, where are we at the moment? Allow me to read this to you. 2 television shows following the career of police officers have been pulled from their representative networks aimed the protest following George Floyd's death. You know who they are. It's Live PD and Cops. Well, because cops are racist and they're killing black people, well, we're going to pull that off and we can't show it to you. No different than the Dukes of Hazzard. It aired for many, many years. No longer allowed to be seen on TV because, there's a rebel flag on top of the Duke's car. Well, now you can't watch Cops or Live PD anymore. Bullshit. The Black Lives Matter movement will develop an armed branch of peace officers to combat police brutality in black communities during the so-called War on Police, according to its leaders. Black Lives Matter New York chapter chairman Hawk Newsom described how the group plans to follow in the footsteps of the Black Panther Party by matching fire with fire if necessary. They plan to arm themselves, and if they see a police officer doing something that they deem is inappropriate, they plan to kill them. We are prepared and training our people to defend our communities against policemen. Newsom attended a national conference in Los Angeles of party leadership to discuss how the movement can create a pathway forward for people. The plan, called Black Ops for Black Opportunities, details how the movement can help to liberate the black race. We have black special forces officers advising us, and we will teach and train people in our communities. The Black Ops Department of Black Opportunities, Newsom said. The movement is remnants of the Black Panther Party, which created peace officers who open carried firearms while patrolling black communities in order to deter police brutality. Newsom confirmed that the Black Lives Matter peace officers would also be armed and open carry in states that allow it. We pattern ourselves after the Black Panthers, after the Nation of Islam. We believe that we need an arm to defend ourselves. We will build and train peace officers to keep the peace in our communities, to defend our communities, to keep our communities safe from police. Newsom said his chapter is raising funds for a war chest and plans to build a headquarters in an unused church in New York. So now Black Lives Matter is going to put together their own police force with weapons to follow around police officers to shoot and kill them if they think the cop is doing something wrong. Think you get Kennedy stupider? Well, it does. Seattle's mayor and the police chief announced they've agreed to ban the use of tear gas to disperse protesters. After having concerns about the use of CS gas for crowd control, we've decided to ban it, said Police Chief Carmen Best after talking with the mayor. The leaders suspended the gas until watchdog groups and oversight officials could fully review and recommend changes to policing and training for the use of the chemical agent. The ban only applies to tear gas, not flashbang grenades, pepper spray, and other crowd control techniques. But Seattle's female African American police chief said that everything will be reviewed. It's really important we're looking at every aspect of force and how we utilize it, the chief said. We'll review everything we're utilizing. So, the Seattle police chief is going to surrender the Seattle Police Department and turn them into a bunch of little bitches that will be taken over by the thugs that are running the streets of Seattle. And last, politicians across the country are hearing the cries of protesters and making a range of statements and actions, from pushing to defund police departments entirely to move targeted action to reform. Protesters and riots against police brutality have happened around the country over the week following the death of George Floyd, with protesters accusing politicians of ignoring the racism up until this point. And this is what they're asking for. The House Judiciary Committee will host a June 10th hearing to tackle racial profiling, police brutality, and the fractured relationship between police departments and the communities they serve, marking the first step for the House to pass police reform legislation. The committee hearing comes as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Thursday that Democrats will put forth comprehensive legislation in the coming days to address police brutality. Many of these bills have been in the hopper, and now with all the public exposure of it, we have a better chance of getting them turned into law, Pelosi said. Joe Biden vowed this week that if you elect him to be president, he will create a National Police Oversight Commission in the first 100 days in the Oval Office. He said that the federal government needs to give the cities and states tools and resources to implement police reform. We need all to take a hard look at the culture that allows for the senseless tragedies that keep happening. And we need to learn from the cities and precincts that are getting it right, he added. And then he said, where am I at? And is it breakfast time or dinner? And oh, am I running for president or vice president this year? The executive director of the national group that represents more than 200,000 police officers, Bill Johnson, took aim at Biden, saying that presumptive Democrat presidential nominee has kept moving left and has gone off the deep end with his calls for law enforcement reform. And I agree 100% with you, Mr. Bill Johnson. For Joe Biden, police are shaking their heads because he used to be a stand-up guy who backed law enforcement. But he seems in his old age, for whatever reason, he's writing a sad final chapter when it comes to supporting the men and women in blue. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcia said Wednesday he tasked the city to identify $250 million in cuts and instead invest that money in communities of color and people that are left behind. The city will try and cut, are you ready for this? $100 million to $150 million from its police budget alone. He said the city needs to step up and do what is right, and we can sacrifice money going to the police department in the tune of $100 to $150 million. So if you live in LA, now would be a good time to call 1-800-U-Haul and get the hell out of there, because everything's about to turn into a third world country. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said his state is looking to pass police reform legislation as soon as next week. The governor unveiled the Say Their Name legislation, which consists of 4 parts addressing laws which shield past discriminatory records of police, known as a 50-A, outlawing chokeholds, making false race-based 9/11 calls subject to hate crime prosecution, and appointing a state Attorney General as an independent investigator into alleged police abuse. California Democrat Senator Scott Weiner tweeted Thursday that he would not accept any contributions for his re-election campaign from law enforcement unions and would donate what he's already received from them to nonprofits that serve at-risk youth of color. Weiner said he has donated $20,000 received from separate law enforcement union organizations. Our policing and criminal justice system is broken and needs drastic change. I want to be very clear where I stand on this fight, Weiner said Thursday. Well, you made it very clear. You're against law enforcement officers. The primary challenger to Democrat New York City Representative Carolyn B. Maloney sent out a fundraiser email Thursday that declared, "Fuck the police." We are living the results of a completely broken criminal justice system. The email from Lauren Ashcroft campaign begins. The entire criminal justice system is racist, she said in a statement. This is about the country needing rigorous criminal justice reform. We constantly see videos of black people being attacked and killed, she said. Police are murdering those they are sworn to protect. Let me stop for just a second and say, madam, you are a dumbass and you're a liar because we aren't constantly seeing anything of the nature. Several members of the Minneapolis City Council this week have expressed support for radical change to how the city handles law enforcement, including a move to dismantle the police department and replace it with a new model for public safety. Jeremiah Ellison, the son of Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and a representative of the city's Ward 5, has called to dramatically rethink how the city keeps its people safe. We're going to dismantle Minneapolis Police Department, he tweeted. His call was echoed by Lisa Bender, the president of the city council. Yes, she said in response to Ellison, we're going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department and replace it with a new model of public safety. So there you have it, my friends. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the new Black Panther Party, liberals, and most Democrats have declared war against America's law enforcement officers, have declared war against the white man. The white man is supposed to apologize for everything that happened to the African American race back during the days of slavery. There are videos you can watch right now on YouTube where black people are going up to young white girls in college and asking them to get on their knees in front of them and apologize for their white privilege. In some of the cases, they're having the girls lick their feet. It is absolutely disgusting. It's even more disgusting that these dumbass bitches are that clueless to get on the ground and do this kind of shit. There is no police scheme against African Americans in this country. That doesn't exist. There is no white scheme against African Americans in this country. That does not exist. It is a false narrative. Period. End of discussion. And for anyone to roll over and allow these dumbasses to implant that shit in your mind, you are part of the problem. Find another country to live in, pack your shit, and get the hell out of America. If you want to kneel in front of the American flag, if you want to kneel during the national anthem, you're disgracing everyone that ever served in the United States military. You're disgracing our veterans. You're disgracing our men and women in blue. You're disgracing everyone that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms and our country. Political correctness has destroyed the United States of America. And now the liberal ideology and their agenda, along with Black Lives Matter and the Black Panther Party and Antifa, are going to destroy it. Turn on your TV tonight and watch the news and watch them riot and loot and burn down America more tonight than they've done since George Floyd was murdered by a white police officer. It's a sad day in America. And I'm telling you, you better be prepared. Because they're eventually going to come out of the cities and they're going to go into the neighborhoods. You can find videos right now on YouTube with members of the new Black Panther Party calling for the extermination of the white race, calling for the extermination of law enforcement officers. So, if you're white, if you're conservative, if you're a Republican, if you support the police, if you support our veterans, if you support our men and women, then the United States military, guess what? You just became the enemy to the enemy. And they're backed up by CNN and MSNBC to push their false narrative of hate. Please share the shit out of this video. Be prepared. Stock up. If you're able to own a gun and you don't, well, you just failed your family. Understand what's fixing to happen here in America. And be ready. Be ready to take whatever action is necessary to protect yourself, your spouse, your children, your parents, everyone within your family. No one, no human deserves what is about to come towards us. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, our president, and our country. Remember, if you're a veteran law enforcement officer or a law enforcement officer today, you're in the military or you're a veteran, we took an oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And right this moment, as I speak, the foreign domestic terrorists are now here. We have domestic terrorists thriving. They've mixed together and are singing Kumbaya. The radicals overseas with the new radicals right here in America. The domestic terrorists are, without a doubt, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and the new Black Panther Party. And anyone and everyone that falls for their fake, false narrative, political correct bullshit. Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.